May be seated. Shabbat Shalom. When we needed a leader to help us with this election, we turned to someone who has been a leader in our congregation for many years and cares about issues passionately and works devotedly to make sure that our community is able to respond to whatever the need is. And so I want to give a big yasher koach to Barbara Posnick for chairing our election campaign and Merkaz campaign. I think many people have already voted. At least I have. Am I allowed to ask if you voted? I think that's kosher. I didn't ask who you voted for. All right, nice. All right, so we got a good group, but we can do more, and everyone can call up someone and get them. We are very excited that Emily Levy-Shochat has joined us this Shabbat. She was born and raised in Liberty, New York, and she and her husband Jack made Aliyah from Boston almost 50 years ago. After she completed her studies at the Brandeis Hordenstein program and started her career at the JCC of Boston. Her career is focused on grassroots community development, education and social services for populations in need, and organizational development and training within the nonprofit world. In her career, she was CEO of 2 NGOs, lecturer and supervisor in community development at Hebrew University, among them. She currently serves as the co-chairwoman of Merkaz Olami, the political party representing the global Masorti conservative movement in the World Zionist Congress. And in that role, she's on the boards of many organizations, including the World Zionist Organization and the Jewish Agency. She was chairperson of the Masorti Israel movement for 5 years. And in addition to all of this volunteerism, she happily spends satisfying time with her 4 grandchildren and much nachas there. Emily, bevakasha. That's your butt.
Thank you, Dave. Well, I got a few reactions. First, that weren't in here, and the rabbi said part of it. First of course, thank you to Barbara, and thank you to you. And mostly, I have to tell you, I haven't been in an American conservative shul in quite a while. As was said, I live in Israel for 50. The feeling here this morning, ani mamash mitrageshet, I'm touched. There's a sense of community and a sense of leadership, seriousness and joy at the same time. I just feel it. Even though the room is very big, which is not something I'm used to doing. I'm a small group worker, not a big room worker. But you have something very special here, and it's my honor to be able to be here with you and to share the words I have, and it's tricky. It's tricky. First of all, I want to so much connect to what you said, Rabbi. This is not in part of my written. As you spoke, I said, wow, that's it. Here in America, with the challenges, and I still maintain my American citizenship. I arrived in the country on my American passport. And what's going on in Israel, and one more, what's going on in the Jewish world, for Jews worldwide, let me put it that way. The issues of anti-Semitism, I don't need to tell you. You live with it, or you don't, hopefully, right here, but we all live with it. The issues of our future, and I think the most critical issues that Rabbi spoke about, which apply here, too. I knew I was coming here on April 19th, and I said to myself, hardly a man is still alive who remembers that famous, and, I grew up in America, in Liberty, New York. They taught us Paul Revere, and what is it, the shot heard round the world, is that it? Right, I got it. I said, wow, that's kind of neat, because I'm coming to talk about a national liberation movement, Zionist movement, and this is the place where a national liberation movement began. And I said, wow, and it's true. And it's true. So what the rabbi said, the challenge here for Americans in America is to maintain democracy, is to maintain pluralism, respect for other, let everybody have equal voice, be part of a democratic process in decision-making. That's what it's about. Sometimes you like what's decided, sometimes you won't like what it's decided, but take part. Every one of the people sitting in this room has a role to play, and you said it. You said it in terms of, it's a good thing that he said what he did. It gave me what to say, but it's the same message. I'm going to talk about the World Zionist Congress and why you should vote and why you should get another 10 to 20 people to vote. But it's the same thing. We are all empowered to bring change. Many of us grew up in the 60s. I grew up in the 60s. I grew up in a period that I was very lucky to live in a period that we felt we could make change. We felt we could make things happen, and we did in America. We made Aliyah to Israel for the same reason. I was very happy working here at the HACC. I did some work here in Lexington. I worked all over the South area. I was involved in Weston when the first, I don't know what's going on today, but I said, why do I want to work with the American Jewish community. That's what I trained for at Hornstein. And my husband, who grew up in young Judea, said, but now is a special moment in the history of Israel. It's the opportunity to help build this new country. And we went. And we've been there ever since, and our daughters are there, and our grandchildren are there, and we're in great pain. We're in great happiness, but we're also in great pain. Because a lot of the same values that are challenged here today in America are challenged in Israel. And now, I'll do what I came here to do, essentially, but I couldn't help but begin that way because it so struck me that we've got this commonality, and the bottom line message I'm here to say is you can take a part in, hopefully, the same way the rabbi asked you to go out today, whatever it is, read the letters, sign a petition, I don't know what it is, and different political positions, it's okay. It's a value base. It's a value base, and that's what we care about. So I've been sent here by Merkaz. Merkaz, as was said, I was sent by. I'm here. Today is my second event. During the course of the week, I'm going to be traveling all the way down through Connecticut. And it's kind of like old home week for me because I did my undergraduate work at the UConn, University of Connecticut. And I did my graduate work here, and I lived here for a few years, so it's like, wow, also being back at home in a sense. I'm here to try to explain a little bit, and maybe some of you know, but what is this thing called the World Zionist Congress? I suspect that most of you know or knew very little. I'm just curious, the same way the rabbi asked who's voted. Who has any idea what the World Zionist Congress is about? Okay, relatively speaking, you're a strong group. Okay. So, but nonetheless, I'm going to tell you a little bit more, if I may. And it all started with this guy. I know you can't see it. You can't see it, and it doesn't matter. But who is it? Herzl. And he had his, yeah, okay, Barbara, you can. I also have a PowerPoint that I show, but obviously on Shabbat I'm not going, and these are from the slides in the PowerPoint. So, Herzl was not the first Zionist. He was not the first Zionist. There were people, thinkers. You've heard names, Hara'am, others. There was this whole buzz. There was a lot of anti-Semitism in Europe. There was the Dreyfus Affair. There were things happening. People said, we've got to have our own state. We have to have our own country. What did Herzl do? Herzl politicized the process. Politicized not in the sense of Democrat, Republican, but said there are different approaches. There are different ways that people think it should be done, secular, religious, whatever. We should all get together around a table, and we should talk, and we should argue, and they argued. They're Jews, they all argued. And we have to figure out where we want to go. And that's, he called the first Zionist Congress in 1897 in, you know where it was? Basel, Switzerland. It was supposed to, he wanted it to be in Munich, something I learned recently. He had wanted to be in Munich. The Orthodox and the Reform rabbinic leadership in Munich said, no. No, we don't need a national state. I just learned this the other day from a podcast that I happened to hear from a very, very knowledgeable guy who's great to listen to, whose name I'm blocking right now, it doesn't matter. But they said, no, we are Jews of the country that we live in. We don't have national aspirations. We're just a religious group. So they wouldn't allow him to do it in Munich, and he went to Switzerland. That's just an interesting thing. And this is a picture. Barbara, do your job, please, quickly. You can also, we'll put them out on the table during Kiddush, and I'm happy to talk with anybody. That's the picture from the first Congress. It's a photo that was found. You'll notice there are no women there. There are no women there. Today, there was a resolution was passed, which we were part of that resolution. Today, there has to be, I don't remember the numbers exactly, something like 40% of the delegates to the Congress have to be women, and another 40% or 35, I don't remember, have to be under the age of 35. Because, and again, these are things that came out of resolutions that we, together with the Reform, together with other liberal minds, we said the Congress has to reflect the Jewish people and has to reflect. So just there. And then 50 years later, what happened 50 years after 1897, 1947? What happened in 1947 that's significant to the Zionist story? The partition. And it's Chav Tet B'November, exactly. The 22nd of November, the UN made its decision that to partition the area and the state of Israel was established in 1948. 50 years. Along the way, in order to accomplish that, this organization, the World Zionist Congress, continued to meet initially on a yearly basis. Subsequently, it started to meet once every 5 years, which is what it does now. And they had to set up a structure, an organizational structure, and they did. And they set up what was called, and we call till today, the national institutions. You know, can I have my other glasses? I'd rather be able to see you, so thank you. And then when I go back here, I'll take them off, you understand. So they set up 4 institutions to help get the job done. One was Keren Hayesod, which was a fundraising outfit, exists till today. And Keren Hayesod raises money for Israel everywhere except in the United States. And that was a deal that was made at some point here. It's federations, it's UJA. I don't know. There are too many details. I don't know all the details, and I don't think you need to know all the details. Anybody wants, there's lots of history books. And we can talk. I know more than I'm going to say now, but it's a very, very complex thing. Another organization, which you do know the name of, is the Jewish Agency for Israel. Jewish Agency, what connection have any of you here had with Jewish Agency, this community? Maybe you've had Shinshinim? Okay, you had Shinshin Fellows. I want to remind them what it is. Exactly. No, I'm going to do that. Exactly. Shinshin are young people, post-high school, post-army, depends, usually post-army, who come to America and elsewhere in the world for 1 year, live with a community, live with families in a community, and bring Israel to the community. And also, and I want you to know, and we know this, those people to a very great extent are influenced, but they've never been in a shul like this. Most of them never saw Masorti or Reform in Israel, although we've grown tremendously over the years, and so is the Reform. But you've heard, you haven't heard, Israelis tend to be they used to say dati or lo dati, either you're religious or you're secular. It's not like that. I'm telling you it's not like that, but it doesn't matter. The Jewish Agency also has the Masa program. Some of you may know it's a program that you can go, young people and professionals, go and spend a year or a half-year program working in your professional world. The Jewish Agency is totally responsible for Aliyah. During the years when it was first set up, the Jewish Agency mostly was responsible for looking at Jews in need worldwide and helping them, many of whom were brought to then Palestine and subsequently to what became Israel, youth villages, all kinds of things. A very, very hands-on agency that works of the Israel-diaspora relationship, which is a critical element of the Zionist movement. A third, and in some ways the most important, but I'll explain why, is this. What's this? What is it? What is it? And we stuck it in. When I left my house, my husband said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm taking the blue box with me, obviously." I talk about Keren Kayemet, which is what it's called. The pushka was what a lot of Americans mostly gave a lot of money into this little box and then would give it. And this was a part, and that was to create and develop what's called Keren Kayemet LeYisrael, JNF. You may know it as the Jewish National Fund. Here in America, there is a separate but connected organization called JNF-USA, which does a lot of wonderful work in Israel. Unfortunately, there had been a break between JNF-USA and JNF in Israel. We have now mended that break. That's one of the things that we have been very, very involved in, because it makes no sense that you've got two organizations looking to develop things in Israel, and one only does America and one only does Israel. And we have now, after 20-year battle, have now managed to bring it back together. What was JNF's job? What was this related to? Planting trees, right. Here, they bought the land, they had to buy the land, and then they had to develop the land. And they did. And here's the part that gets us to today. And it still exists. I am one of our Sorties representatives on the directorate of the KKL. Now I'm going to throw out a number. And it's not because it's I. You know what, let me not go ahead. I'll explain to you in a minute what I want to say. Kakal, till today, Kakal, JNF in Israel, till today owns 17%, 15 to 17% of the land in Israel. That's a lot of land. More importantly than it's a lot of land, I mean, Israel's not such a big place, but there's a lot of demand for the land in Israel. Our population is growing, we have a housing shortage, the demography is changing, and there's a lot of demand. There's also political aspects about land. Over the Green Line, not over the Green Line, we have some land over the Green Line, but owning 15% of the land means that we get tremendous amount of revenue. Kakal and expends money. Keren Kayemet in Israel has an annual budget of $500 million. $500 million. It does certainly we're the shepherd of all, the steward of all forests. We do a lot of development work. We did a lot of work now in the rebuilding of Nova, or not rebuilding, but creating a whole park there where the dance festival was, that was, of course, attacked on October 7th. And we're involved in the development of the North and the South, the physical development. And now we have to decide to what extent we feel we should be involved also in the human development. And these are questions. Now, we have elements within Kakal who sit on the directorate with me and others who say, no, we should give more money to develop other things, particularly settlements over the Green Line, and they have a different set of priorities. Our being on the directorate allows us to give our priorities and do what then Herzl wanted, sit around the table and come up with decisions. And that's what we're there. Why are the votes for the Congress important? This is the story. Let me give you a little bit of the mechanics. What happens? You have a certain number, I think this year, Congress is made up of three components. Representatives of Israel, that's about 40% of the Congress. The total Congress, again, it varies, 550 seats, let's say, at the Congress. There's even that have 40% are to represent Israeli Jews like myself. I'm also an American, but I vote in the Israeli elections. The decision was whatever the current Knesset that's in power, take a mirror image of the division of how it's set up proportionally. So certain parties have a strong position in the thing, that same number will sit in the Congress and sit around the decision-making group. a third of so Israelis may not vote. Israelis who voted in the Israeli elections do not have the right to vote. Who does? American Jews and Jews worldwide. And why did they distinguish? Because America has the largest Jewish population after Israel. Simple enough. About a third of all the seats are voted on for delegates from the United States. It's a huge amount. It's very important. That's why I'm here. I and about 10 other people like myself were traveling all over the states to shuls just like yours. I think there were something like 160 shuls that invited us to come and to talk. Now, some people know it, but some people don't. The other third is worldwide. So there are also people who are going around worldwide. Now, what's the issue? There's competition going on. Try not to lose me, because I get involved now with some details, and if you lose me, stop me, and I'll try to explain. In 2020, 5 years ago, when I also was new to all this, I barely understood. Nothing that I'm saying now would I have been able to say 5 years ago. I've learned. Because it's very, as I said, complex and political. And everybody wants money. Everybody wants money. I mean, what does money give you? It gives you have purchasing power, but we need get more. In 2020, there were 15 slates, that's all, for the whole Congress in the United States. 15 slates. This year, there are 22 slates. Makara, what happened? Why suddenly? Because up till a few years ago, it was a well-kept secret. Nobody cared. And also in 2020, all together in the whole United States, all groups, conservative, reform, orthodox, secular, there were 150,000 votes in the whole country. That was it. That was it. This year, we already know, and the election period is only over in August. Here in America, it's over May 4th. Worldwide, it's over August, I don't remember when, doesn't matter. We already have something like 150,000 votes have come in. And same way that we're running around encouraging people to vote and get others to vote. It's not enough to just vote yourself. It's to get another 10, 15, 20 people to vote. Everybody's out there to get the money, but we get three things. The more votes you get, the more delegates you have, that gives you more power, more influence on policies, on programs, and on budget distribution. If I'm going on too long, tell me. I am. Okay. Please, I get it. And I do have some other things I want to tell you. I will say two more things. Among the people, among the new bodies, and this is not bashing, this is fact, there is one group that put up an ad which they sent out to about 100,000 Jewish families in America. We know this. This is a public ad. They wrote $2.3 billion is up for grabs. Forget the amount of money. This money can be used to uphold the Kedusha, the holiness of Eretz Yisrael, or, pay attention, to fund the woke left reform and conservative movements. The choice is yours. That's one thing I need to read to you. In last week's papers, you may have read that 3 of the parties have now been taken to the Zionist court for violating basic rules and regulations of Zionism, and we don't yet know what's going to happen. We do know the court has decided to throw out 2,000 votes of one of those slates, and we're pushing that the slates be thrown out altogether. In other words, the system is being abused because everybody wants the money, everybody wants the power. This new group, Eretz HaKodesh, say it clear out. They want to make sure that we, non-Orthodox Jewry, no longer exists in Israel, which has implications for the law of return. They also try to change the law of return, which we were able to block, and on and on and on and on. Folks, bottom line, after Shabbat, after Chag, please, 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 and Barbara has material, there's material out here. It's simple. It's a 5-minute thing. You take your phone. I'm not going to give the details. More importantly, like I've said numerous times, Please, please, please speak with another 15 to 20 people. They don't have to be members of the shul. They don't have to be members of the Masorti movement. They just have to say, I'm Jewish. They have to, nobody's going to check that. I'm Jewish. I approve the basic principles of the Zionist movement. I pay $5, and I vote, in our case, for slate number 37. That's it. Thank you for listening. Sorry I went over. 17, what did I say? Our slate is 17. No, you're right. Thank you. Slate 17. Sorry I went over. That's it. Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you so much, Emily. Emily will be at Kiddush. You can ask some more questions. Please don't forget to vote.